Good day. This is the review questions for licensure examination, area capture fisheries, topic fisheries laws, week 2. Number 1. It is commonly known as the Philippine Fisheries Code of 1998, and the main purpose is to allot resources for the development, management, and conservation of fisheries and other aquatic resources of the country. A. Republic Act Number 10654. B. Republic Act Number 10564. C. Republic Act Number 8550. Or D. Republic Act Number 8055. And the answer is C. Republic Act No. 8550. The Republic Act 8550 was created to protect the rights of fisherfolk such as their advantage in the country's municipal waters, where they can exercise a maximum sustainability yield, the maximum level where a natural resource can be routinely exploited without long-term depletion. Number 2. These are a set of indicators that describe the level of exploitation, status of the fisheries, or biological characteristics used as an standard for regulatory purposes. A. Bioindicators. B. Reference points. C. Fisheries performance indicators. Or D. Sustainability indicators. The answer is B. Reference points. Reference points are the benchmarks that scientists and managers use to compare the current status of a stock or fishery to a desirable state, and hence help to determine the success of the harvest strategy. For fisheries with clear management objectives, reference points can be used to assess progress towards meeting to those objectives. In some cases, the reference points are set at the beginning of the harvest strategy process, functioning as de facto management objectives. Number 3. These regulatory measures enacted to ensure that the target reference point is achieved while the limit reference point is avoided. A. Harvest control rules. B. Monitoring, control, and surveillance system. C. Strategic lawsuit against public participation. Or D. Reference points. The answer is A. Harvest control rules. Harvest control rules, or HCRs, are the operational component of harvest strategy, essentially pre-agreed guidelines that determine how much fishing can take place based on indicators on the targeted stock's status. Harvest control rules provide more benefits than the traditional approach of conducting stock assessments and then negotiating fishing limits or quotas. Number 4. It requires vessel to have a vessel monitoring system to track and monitor the position, course, and speed of the vessels at any given time for the purpose of managing fishing effort for traceability. A. Monitoring, control, and surveillance (MC) system. B. Strategic lawsuit against public participation. Or C. Harvest strategies. Or lastly, D. Harvest control rules. The answer is A. Monitoring, Control, and Surveillance Systems, or MCS. The MCS is a term developed by the FAO MCS Conference of Experts in 1981, which is now widely accepted as a key principle in sustainable fisheries management and identified as the best hope in preventing, deterring, and eliminating IUU fishing. Number 5. It is known as the Fisheries Decree of 1975 and was issued on May 16, 1975. The decree prescribes rules for marine fisheries and inland fisheries, including the lease of fish ponds and, to a certain extent, exportation and importation of fish. A. Presidential Decree Number 701. B. Presidential Decree Number 702. C. Presidential Decree Number 703. And D. Presidential Decree Number 704. And the answer is D. Presidential Decree Number 704. Purpose of this decree is to accelerate and promote the integrated development of the fisheries resources of the country in an optimum productive condition through proper conservation and protection. It establishes the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources for the management, conservation, development, protection, utilization, and disposition of all fishery and aquatic resources of the country. For the implementation of the policy approved by the country, a Fishery Industry Development Council is established. The exploitation, production, etc. of fish resources are subject to the issue of a license, lease of permit. The decree establishes the conditions required with respect to commercial fishing, deep sea or offshore fishing, and municipal fishing. Further, provisions concern the establishment of fishing areas reserved for exclusive use of the government, of fish refuges and sanctuaries, and the disposition of public lands for fish ponds. Number 6. It is also known as the marginal sea or marine belt, which is part of the sea extending 12 nautical miles or 19 km from the low water mark. A. Seabed, B. Seafloor, C. Territorial sea, or D. Seesaw. The answer is C. Territorial sea. Territorial sea is defined under the UNCLOS as the 12 nautical mile zone from the baseline or low water line along the coast. Within this zone, the coastal state exercises full sovereignty over the airspace above the sea and over the seabed and subsoil. A coastal state may legislate on matters concerning the safety of navigation, the preservation of the environment, and the preservation, reduction, and control of pollution without any obligation to make these rules compliant with the international standards. Number 7. It is the period during which the taking of specified fishery species by a specified fishing gear is prohibited in a specified area or areas in Philippine waters. A. Dry season, B. Wet season, C. Closed season, or D. Open season. And the answer is C. Closed season. One of the measures that can be applied to conserve our marine fisheries is the imposition of closed fishing seasons. Closed fishing seasons are defined as periods of time during which fishing is prohibited in a specified area or areas in Philippine waters through an order of closure by the Secretary of Agriculture. Number 8. Which one of the following statements is not true in establishing closed season under RA number 8550 section 9? A. The Secretary DA may declare closed season through public notice in at least 2 newspapers of general circulation or in public service announcement, whichever is applicable at least 5 days before the declaration. B. Declaration of closed season by the Secretary shall be done only upon the concurrence and approval of recommendation of such special agency and the concerned LGU and Farm C. C. The Secretary may include waters under jurisdiction of special agencies, municipal waters and in-bays, and or other areas reserved for the use of municipal fisherfolk in the area to be covered by the closed season. Or D. None of the above. And the answer is D. None of the above. Because all the statements are true in the establishing closed season under RA number 8550 section 9. Number 9. It refers to the annual catch limits allowed to be taken, gathered, or harvested from any fishing area in consideration of the need to prevent overfishing and harmful depletion of the breeding stocks of aquatic organisms. A. Catch ceilings, B. Catch per unit effort, C. Gross catch, or D. Bycatch. And the answer is A. Catch ceilings. Catch ceiling limitation under RA number 8550 section 8 states that a catch ceiling may be imposed per species of fish whenever necessary and practicable, provided, however, that in municipal waters and fishery management area and waters under the jurisdiction of special agencies, catch ceilings may be established upon the concurrence and approval or recommendation of such a special agency and the concerned LGU in consultation with Farm C for conservation of ecological purposes. Question number 10. It is a scheme of producing a minimum harvest per hectare. per year of milkfish or other species including those raised in pens, cages, and tanks to be determined by the department in consultation with the concerned sectors. A. Commercial scale. B. Small scale commercial fishing. C. Medium scale commercial fishing. Or D. Weighing scale. And the answer is A. Commercial scale. List of fish ponds under RA number 8550 section 46 states that the area list shall be developed and producing on a commercial scale within 3 years from the approval of the lease contract, provided, however, that all areas not fully producing within 5 years from the date of approval of the lease contract shall automatically revert to the public domain for reforestation. We are halfway there, so let's go. Number 11. These are boundaries defined by markers and assigned exclusively to specific individuals or organizations for certain specified and limited uses such as A. Agriculture, sea ranching and sea farming, B. Fish aggregating devices, and C. Fixed and passive fishing gears, and D. Fry and fingerlings gathering. The choices are A. Territorial zone, B. Demarcated areas, C. Exclusive economic zone, or D. Fishery management areas. And the answer is B. Demarcated areas. Article 1, Municipal Fisheries under RA number 8550 section 20 states that fisherfolk organizations or cooperatives whose members are listed in the registry of municipal fisherfolk may be granted use of demarcated fishery areas to engage in fish capture, mariculture, and or fish farming, provided, however, that an organization or cooperative member whose household is already in possession of a fishery right other than for fish capture cannot enjoy the fishing rights granted to the organization or cooperative. Number 12. It refers to the aquatic plants, animals, including some varieties of corals and seashells in danger of extinction as provided for in existing fishery rules, laws and regulations, or in protected areas and Wildlife Bureau of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and in Convention on the International Trade of Endangered Species of Flora and Fauna. The choices are A. Endangered, rare, and or threatened species, B. Priority species, C. Indicator species, or D. Endangered, rare, and or threatened species. The answer may be both A and D. Endangered, rare, and or threatened species. Endangered species are those plants and animals that have become so rare they are in danger of becoming extinct. Threatened species are plants and animals that are likely to become endangered within the foreseeable future throughout all or a significant portion of its range. Number 13. It is an area beyond and adjacent to the territorial sea which shall not extend beyond 200 nautical miles from the baselines as defined under existing laws. A. Territorial zone, B. Demarcated areas, C. EEZ, or D. Fishery management areas. And the answer is C. Exclusive economic zone. An exclusive economic zone, or EEZ, as prescribed by the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, is an area of the sea in which a sovereign state has special rights regarding the exploration and use of marine resources, including energy production from water and wind. Number 14. As defined by the Local Government Code, it is created in all barangays, municipalities, and cities abutting municipal waters in order to institutionalize a major participation of the local fisherfolks and other resource users in the community-based planning and implementation of policies and programs for the management, conservation, development, and protection of fisheries and aquatic resources of municipal waters. A. Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, B. Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Management Council, C. Asian Fisheries Society, or D. Department of Agriculture. The answer is B. Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Management Council. The Farm Cs shall prepare and recommend the fisheries and aquatic resources management policies and plans for integration into the local development plan and recommend to the local government units and the special agencies referred to in Section 7 guidelines on the development and implementation of projects and of permits and licenses for the appropriate use of fisheries and aquatic resources, and addedly, to ensure that resource use limits and controls are imposed. Number 15. It is the government agency responsible for the development, improvement, management, and conservation of the country's fisheries and aquatic resources. It was reconstituted as Line Bureau by virtue of Republic Act No. 8550, Fisheries Code of 1998. A. Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. B. Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Management Council. C. Asian Fisheries Society. Or D. Department of Agriculture. And the answer is A. Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, or also known as BFAR, is responsible for the development, improvement, management, and conservation of the country's fisheries and aquatic resources. Number 16. This law reorganized the Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources into two separate departments, that is, Department of Agriculture and Department of Natural Resources, renamed the Bureau of Fisheries as Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, and placed it under Department of Natural Resources. A. Republic Act 10654, B. Republic Act 8550, or C. Presidential Decree 704, and lastly, D. Presidential Decree 461. And the answer is D. Presidential Decree 461. Number 17. It is designated area where fishing or other forms of activities which may damage the ecosystem of the area is prohibited and human access may be restricted. A. Territorial zone. B. Demarcated areas. C. Exclusive economic zone. Or D. Fishery, refuge, and sanctuaries. The answer is D. Fishery, refuge, and sanctuaries. Fish refuge and sanctuaries under RA 8550 Section 81 state that the department may establish fish refuge and sanctuaries to be administered in the manner to be prescribed by the BFAR, or at least 25% but not more than 40% of base, foreshore lands, continental shelf, or any fishing ground shall be set aside for the cultivation of mangroves to strengthen the habitat and spawning grounds of fish. Within these areas, no commercial fishing shall be allowed. Number 18. Under the RA 8550 or the Fisheries Code of 1998, fishing or taking or rare, threatened or endangered species is prohibited. What section of the code? A. 100, B. 102, C. 104, or D. 106. And the answer is B. 102. Fishing or taking of rare, threatened, or endangered species under RA 8550 Section 102 states that it shall be unlawful to fish or take, catch, gather, sell, purchase, possess, transport, export, forward, or ship out aquatic species listed in Appendix of CITES or those categorized by the IUCN as threatened and determined by the department as such. Number 19. It is also called the Law of the Sea Convention or the Law of the Sea Treaty. Is an international agreement that establishes a legal framework for all marine and maritime activities. As of June 2016, 167 countries and the European Union are parties. A. UNCLOS. B. Declaration of Cancun. C. UNCED Agenda 21. Or D. Code of Conduct for Responsible Fisheries. And the answer is A. UNCLOS. UNCLOS, or also known as United Nations Conventions on the Law of the Sea, provides a comprehensive legal framework governing all activities and uses of the world's seas and oceans. The convention establishes general obligations for safeguarding the marine environment and protecting freedom of scientific research on the high seas. Lastly, number 20, in 1976, what presidential decree number did the Philippine Fish Marketing Authority created? A. Presidential Decree 1219, B. Presidential Decree 977, C. Presidential Decree 704, D. Presidential Decree 461. And the answer is Presidential Decree 977. Thank you so much. See you on the next video. The next video will be commercial and municipal fisheries.